pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here today to make decisions, deliberate, discuss. And we just ask for your blessings as we make those, as we collaborate and discuss. Amen.
First items first.
Next one. Like you. I had like 6 of them up here. Now, oh, here's one. Okay, first we're gonna have to, since you called that meeting, did you call that? Yeah, we called that meeting to order, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have
Approval of
to
minutes
get a motion to exit the council meeting and enter the public hearing for the solid waste district budget.
Should have all had time to review minutes from the last meeting. Any additions, corrections?
Two pages. Two pages.
I was bringing it this morning. It's terrible.
There's an extra one.
Sorry, I was. Yeah, if that works for Steve.
No.
Okay, yeah, we'll just ask him.
Need a motion?
Motion to accept the minutes from last month.
Second.
Bob first?
Fred was first, I'm second.
Fred and Bob. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Now we exit.
Now you need a motion to.
Need a
exit-
motion to exit the first
exit
portion of the
council-
agenda?
Yeah, exit the council meeting.
exit.
Motion to exit the council meeting and then ensure the budget hearing for solid waste.
Fred and John? Fred and Bob?
Was it Kathy?
Fred and Kathy. You're all raising your hands.
And that was to exit and enter the public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. You're on.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Ann Razzo. I'm the attorney for the Adams County Solid Waste Management District, and this is Jeff McIntosh, Director of the District and Transfer Station. And the Solid Waste Management District is a separate political subdivision, but according to state law and regulations put forth by the Department of Local Government Finance, each year the approved budget for the district is brought before the fiscal body of the county's fiscal body, so the county council, to seek approval, a recommendation for approval. So the county council doesn't necessarily approve the district's budget. The 7-member board of elected officials actually approve and adopt the Adams County Solid Waste Management District's budget, but it is put forth in front of county council to seek non-binding recommendations for adjustments to the previously published budget that's, I believe, in front of you all right now. So just a brief history. So the purpose for our presence today is to seek a recommendation for approval of the 2024 budget as submitted. Do any of you have any questions over what you're reviewing right now?
And everything follows the, like the pay scales and stuff. I can't remember because they follow the county.
They're not required to.
But we do. That's, we're giving a 3% increase on our salaries. And we have 2 employees that we actually are giving $1 an hour.
That's what Jay's president.
It's on the recommendation of our board because they got pretty low. They weren't brought up when they needed to be a couple years ago. So 2 employees get $1 an hour and the rest of them, and everybody else is 3% across the board is what we get. We try to mirror what the county gets.
In terms of the overall budget, there is, in a roughly $2 million budget, we have an increase of $3,000. So Deb Cook do an incredible job of being very fiscally responsible for the district and have worked hard to try and keep that budget in line or near what it was for 23, 24, despite increasing costs and expenses in just about every category. So
So we just need a motion to approve, and that's what your question.
to recommend approval of the 2020, adoption of the 2024 budget by the Adams County Solid Waste Management District.
I'll make a motion to adopt the budget. Second. 2023.
Bob,
Rex.
Rex?
Have a motion to approve as presented. All those in favor?
Now we just need,
I have one question, Ed.
Okay.
You have a retirement perf at 11.2%. Is that the employees portion and then 1% is the county? Is that what you're? It's,
Increase of $307.
The district,
$4,726 increase.
right,
That would be for the 11.2%. Would be what-
and that's the same, and that was the same for 23 as 24. But that's what the district provides, the 11.2%. And then the 1%. Is that your question,
Yes.
Dennis? What's the 1%?
yes.
That is the,
Question two.
I would assume is that the 11% is what you have to do, and then the 1% is extra. Is that what that is?
Yeah, but
they didn't change.
they didn't change with us, so they have to do 11.2 employees.
And then
have to
the
do 3.
district adds the 1%.
County used to pick up one of ours. They don't anymore, but they must have never changed with us.
Gotcha. So you're still paying that. It's not like the county's paying that. Yeah,
Right.
that's just how you break it down.
Correct.
Thank you.
Need a motion to exit the public hearing for solid waste.
Make a motion to exit the
Tongue twister.
budget hearing and re-enter the meeting.
Second.
Fred and Corey.
Okay, so, and he also said to re-enter our normal meeting. Although we're really going to be going to another public hearing. You guys are good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a motion to exit the public hearing. All those in
We
favor?
already got that. We just need to vote on it.
Yeah.
Spread it.
All those in favor? Opposed? Now we need a motion to enter back into the,
Well, we're going straight into a public hearing again. Julie Marie, do we need to enter back into the regular council meeting and then exit out of that? Or can we just go straight into,
the next hearing.
do we need a motion for that?
Yes.
Need a motion to enter the public hearing on our budget.
We got a motion to exit ours.
We've got a motion to exit and enter the public hearing. Yeah, Fred, is that what your motion was?
I think that was for solid waste. I'm amending my motion. Motion to exit the solid waste budget hearing and enter the Adams.
County public hearing for the budget.
Budget.
Got it,
Yes.
okay.
Thank you.
Now we're good. Now we're ready to go on the.
Fred amended his motion, so we'll need another second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Really, we're cutting out a lot of the enters and exits that way. So now you have the public hearing on the budget. Everybody should have received the budget. I know,
I didn't. I got it.
Made by Justice, but I didn't.
Do you all have the, Reed, you have that that called up?
What?
Do you have the budget called up? So if you want to give last year's, this is for Eric.
Oh, yeah.
If you have last year's approved budget number so that Eric can have that. And then it's not the approved budget here yet. That doesn't come until October. The process changed a little bit here and we got the budget workshop done before this public hearing. So the number that we have there now can still be tweaked if need be prior to the October approval. But what this did, when we have our budget workshop with DLGF and we submit that into Gateway, it's advertised that way. But because council had their budget hearing or workshop prior to today, they were able to meet for a day and whittle down the budget, so to speak. I don't know if I want to say it that way or not. Don't necessarily quote me on that. But they were able to arrive at a number that we have here to start with today. So if Bree wants to give, well, and not just Eric, but I guess the council benefit too.
So you want the 2023 adopted?
Yes.
So the 2023 adopted,
We compare apples to apples. The state.
It'll be apples to apples in October. Did you just hear me?
Yeah.
What I just said?
Okay. Well.
okay, so 2023 adopted was 31,848,439.
Right, okay.
Right now, what they have to adopt in October is 32,336,381.
What percentage is that above?
1.53%.
More, okay.
But that's not, the number she just gave you for 24 is not the final number yet. That will come in October. But we've got it to this point today so the council can discuss and amongst themselves as to if there's other places to cut or this, that, or the other thing. And then we have until the October meeting to approve the final number.
Okay.
It's a little confusing, but
Yeah.
Eric Stan was a Harvard graduate.
Thank you. Good.
Where do we go from here?
This is just a public hearing, right?
yeah, this is a public hearing. There's really nobody out there to comment, so if you wanted to exit out of the public hearing, you can still discuss the budget. Make sense?
All right, motion to public hearing. Enter into our regular meeting.
Second.
Fred and Bob.
Bob raised his hand and John spoke. That was
Bob won.
Doesn't matter.
Bob was first on.
6 1, half a dozen the other.
2 weeks ago.
exit public hearing and enter the meeting. So we are back in our normal meeting. Anyone have thoughts on the budget, anything like that? I guess now's the time to discuss those, and then we can continue to work on that prior to the final number in October.
I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but I think the three that are left, unless I'm missing something, was what we wanted to do on the IT. The ARPA, the 700,000 or so. Julie sent me last night a response on which one of all those ideas are eligible. I think all of you guys are possibly on that too. So I don't know if you want to wait to discuss with commissioners first or how you want to do that. So those two, and then bituminous line, I think was another one, line 921 that might need to get updated, but otherwise I think we're good.
Did you take that did you lower the bituminous yet? that final number, so that would be minus that. The number you gave would be 150,000 less,
Mhm.
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know about the IT and the, I don't know if you guys want to talk about that now, or I don't know when the right time is.
Well, you have the truck and trailer for
Yeah.
surveyor, if you wanted to do that. Because I think Julie Marie in the email she sent back pretty much laid out what is and isn't.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like
Eligible.
commissioners need to be in the loop too, so
Got 2 out of 3. Now, I guess the other thing during budget hearings was the health insurance, it normally is 2 million, we dropped that 500,000.
Right.
Which is council's decision. I just want to throw out there that if we do have a tough year with claims and everything, if it eats into that, we would just have to take it from somewhere else. Just to
I
let
think
you
the thing
know.
to remember about that though is, I mean, our balance is around 4 million or something like that right now, correct? And if we were to have a year like that, it would come out of the general fund anyway, which is where it'll be sitting if it's not going in there directly. And the general fund that money has a lot more flexibility. So if we would need to do that, then that's just what we do. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, I don't think, really. Is it a transfer or an additional?
We have 2.7 right now.
but you haven't made the payment yet, so it'll be another
We're
two.
doing that today, the $2 million.
Yeah. Right. And
Yeah,
I
so-
think historically we have spent like 1.5 or maybe 2, so I can't see putting another 2. I think that makes sense.
And so, I mean, if something like crazy like that would happen, it's not like we're
Or more.
SOL. I mean, we're,
After
we just,
really crazy.
we would just get it out of the general fund.
I mean, it's just my job to throw that out there, just in case it happens. That's my job. What you guys do is up to you.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big deal, honestly. So,
Yeah, US.
My concern is that if we want to make the budget look good, with the anticipation of taking the money from someplace else, it's really not a budget.
but we're going by historical numbers as.
Yeah, you've got,
Our balance is trending up.
That's
you're
okay.
triple. Well, I mean, to go in the negative, we'd have to spend, what is it, 4 times what we spent last year? I mean, so that's not going to happen.
But yeah, it's responsible planning, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, it
We
could
have to
happen.
look at it.
If there was something.
Well, and I think the
exceptional.
main reason I bring it up is we have a new health insurance consultant firm coming in. It's the only reason I bring it up.
But still, to exceed that number, we'd have to spend an egregious amount above what we've spent historically.
And
So we're still,
probably
actually,
find it.
our balance should still be in really good shape if we spend our historical spend. If something crazy happens, and, of course, that's always a possibility, but
Like I say, I'm just
Oh, what's the
doing
difference?
my job.
What's the difference of budgeting and not spending as opposed to cutting the budget and then spending?
Well, I think at some
Well, the
point it
money-
becomes irresponsible to, I don't want to say hoard money, but if your typical spend is 1.5-ish million and you keep putting 2 in, now all of a sudden you have 4.7 extra. I mean, that's extra, right? So we put in another 1.5, we spend another 1.5, we'd have to spend another 4.5 to even start touching that.
and so now it just stays in the general fund instead, where it's got a lot more flexibility. And if we would happen to need it, we can take it out of general fund then. But our balance
Always
is
rainy
trending,
day available.
our balance is trending up.
Do we have to check? I just saw this. Remember the one time we wanted to lower it in Mark, Burry said something about if we lowered it, then we had to also lower
Sure.
highway
We do.
and solid waste?
Yeah.
And sewer district, do you remember that?
I don't know if it was,
That is true.
So if
By the
we
same
could lower
percentage.
all- I think that we have, we would have to figure out how to do that because those 3 pay in off the fringe rate.
It's not just like a flat.
It's not like they give 2 million, right?
Right.
So that 2 million is technically like the fringe for the employees.
Mhm. It's a fringe
So,
benefit.
yeah, we do have to look into that. So that's something we check out and
Yeah.
see what that final thing would
we
be.
have to ask Mark what that would
Because I think it goes by the same percentage, doesn't it? Whatever percentage you lower this by,
But
you'd
that's
have,
what we're saying, so like, I know highway, they all give, whenever they bring me their checks, it's a list of their employees, what insurance they have, and then what that fringe is. So they're not just bringing me a check for 500,000. So that, we would have to somehow figure out how to lower what amount they're paying. Make sense?
yes.
They're doing it per employee, whereas we're just taking 2 million out of county general and putting into health insurance, which is covering all county.
Wouldn't that have already affected them though? I mean, in their budgets?
No, because they're gonna still pay the fringe, they're not taking anything less.
Does that affect them only, does it affect them with this, or does it only affect them on the premium cost? Like if the premium cost or something, if the premium cost for county employees goes down, theirs does, or I'm trying to picture how this 2 million affects.
Yeah, I mean, they
Them.
would, if premiums change, that would affect them because they pay our same premium.
That's what I thought affected them. I didn't know that the 500,000 affected them.
No.
Because to me, the 2 million that we're putting in is our fringe. It's just that we're not taking a list and making, okay, we have 150 people on insurance, this is what they have, and this is what their fringe should be each month.
Well, we can ask Mark, because it's not October yet, and we can still do something, but we can ask Mark.
I just thought of that.
The next
We
meeting.
mentioned that we're paying in less from county general.
Yeah, I don't know how,
I'm pretty sure he said that then we have to also, they have to pay less.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Mark how that.
I'll put on there.
I know if the premiums change, obviously theirs would too, but I'm not sure about the other. We'll just have to ask Mark.
And we did this like 4 years ago or so, so I'm sure we could figure it out.
And you wanted bituminous to what, 20?
Bituminous, I think,
Went to 50.
went to 50,000.
Oh, 50.
And like, really, however you guys want to, yes, Cory, to I think you brought it up. Any ARPA things would require both bodies' approval.
I just forwarded that to you three, so you
How you
guys
approach
have
that
what
is-
Julie sent. So I don't know, that list,
Which email are you looking at?
this is the one Julie sent last night. I mean, that medical contract for the sheriff would be easy. It'd be a big amount at one time, and that would help them bridge the gap until the rest of their funding comes through with the new lit rates. Cube cap purchases, I know that would be something you probably would appreciate.
Absolutely.
So what does that add up to? 250. If you do that Cume cap computer hardware plus the medical, you're at 6.
So let's see.
You're at 725. This one last night. Here, you can just no. I won't put that. I always came up with the things that we can use SNR for, and she's saying eligible or ineligible. So I was saying that medical contract would be an easy one, and then if you add in this Cume cap computer hardware, you'd be at like 725. Pretty much right what we're looking for.
What's the medical contract?
That's the medical contract. That's where they pay, take care of all the not residents, the inmates in there.
Have we raised the deductibles by way of employee contributions?
Raised in 2023
You have,
and the out-of-pocket.
Out-of-pocket expense went up to what?
do you guys
How much?
have the email that Julie sent last night on which funds are eligible and which are not?
She had everybody copy.
700 per what?
His emails are not coming in.
Okay.
Okay.
I can forward it to all of you now.
Oh,
But
did
you're all on it.
Everybody get it?
Rick said he's not getting them.
I just
They're not
forwarded the
getting-
budget to him and he didn't get it.
Didn't get it.
Who's
Are you
not
on
getting
the-
it?
Here.
Are you on the internet?
This is the email that you.
But when I'm here, I can't get emails in this building for some reason. When I'm at home, they pop in my computer. When I'm here, nothing.
Your password changed.
I forwarded.
I would, I would definitely see Ethan about
Yes,
that. That's happening.
you haven't got any briefs?
I emailed that.
I didn't get anything.
Forwarded to you just now.
I don't have a strong opinion,
I
but
had
those
trouble
people.
getting that report myself.
How does that medical contract get paid otherwise?
Yeah, Brent said he didn't get it.
Isn't that-
I didn't get it.
He gets paid out of.
Yeah, and so this would leave it in there.
I didn't-
Bob got
It
it.
comes out of county general.
Yeah, what am I? I'm connected.
But we've already got it accounted for, don't we? Yeah, it's gotta be already.
It's
Yeah, all these
probably in
things
the
are in
budget now, that what Corey's saying is if you do.
If we do
part of it,
this.
it's Come out of the budget.
Yeah, it's basically we're using the ARPA money to save it, like we don't have to spend it.
Policy number for that.
So that basically, essentially we're transferring 400,000 or 700,000 into county general or Q cap.
If I see it.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
This is my.
Here, you can drive. Nope, you're fine.
My address for the, getting the computer.
It should be that then.
We're cybersecurity.
Try that.
Should be?
It should be.
Yeah, I'm sure that's their problem, some filter or some
That's
type.
what it is. You have to know I can't access.
You're not getting emails either?
I mean, this is what I downloaded last night at home. That's the last thing that updated.
If I print it, goes upstairs and I can't print here.
Well, won't even, why doesn't it even let you show me?
What is that?
Still connected to the internet?
His isn't.
Trying to get,
His
not
was.
getting my emails.
His will be.
Passwords.
Can you put in your password, please? It won't let you, I want to forget it.
Huh?
You're 18 now? What's in the lady topic of one of those 6 lines?
Upstairs and get that out.
Let me find it, and that's why Julie was not too sure about that one.
Keep discussing? Yes.
Send that
Let me use
off.
the 1.7 million as the.
Okay, thank you.
So you've got the hospital, council on aging, NIRCC, Adams County Economic Development Corporation, and Regional Sewer District.
Your email.
Yeah, she said that.
Now did it come through?
Yeah,
Looks like I got quite a few coming in right there.
I just assume we were going to accept the budget and stuff. Well, I have to do that every time, right?
and if we do 700,000 like we talked about, that would leave 160 left for future ARPA stuff.
Set to connect automatically.
I thought I
So the question is, what's the easiest combination of seven?
Commissioners?
Do you guys have a preference on those lists from
That I
Julie?
don't know.
Which of those are eligible that you would,
But that's what it is.
I mean, I don't know that it matters that much. They're all gonna happen anyways. It's just a matter of who pays for it.
I guess I'm just going through the list here. Sure, it's in down to right
You got mine in?
right here,
But
yeah. I don't know that I have.
I just didn't.
Strange that Corey was in for tax increase.
Well, that would be 160.
Yes.
Yeah. There's all those things that we said we were gonna do in the last meeting.
Who before that?
We could go more about it. A lot of people might want to hold on to it a little bit for something that comes up.
Well, the one thing I'm thinking of right now is the final thing yet for the clerk standing in records.
Mhm.
And I don't know what the answer is to that yet.
Say it
You
again.
did not get it.
Not sure
That email.
which one are we talking about?
Basically, those are different things that are currently in the proposed budget that ARPA can pay for. So the ones that say eligible are the ones that Julie said would work.
Corey, you got that? Yeah, I know you got it.
It says that have been advised that economic development.
Yeah, so some of those are ineligible. So of the ones that say eligible, do you have a preference one way or the other?
Although,
Are you proposing, equipment line item for the surveyor to do that out of ARPA?
We could, I mean, that could definitely be.
The truck and
Well,
trailer.
that's, we should take that for the survey.
Yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
you had previously decided you were gonna do that, so.
The truck.
Yeah, so that's actually already included in
Okay,
the
I
new
was thinking that was
calculation.
Have we,
heard any more line items, because I still believe some of our input.
have we heard any more from the clerk about record scanning?
She is talking with, Mark as far as whether it has to be bid out or whether she has to develop specs, but she would still definitely like to do that.
Well, I mean, I think it's
So
a,
far, she's interviewed 4 different companies, and she pretty much has a favorite. But, she needs to do a comparison sheet, but I don't know if she has to bid that out, like when Tom did the scanning for his office and the recorder's office, I don't think he did it, he just gave it to the side. So I'm not sure what has to happen.
Well, the only piece we have to decide is basically, we don't have to decide till next month with the budget.
But yeah, she would still definitely like to do that, because, we got records in the basement in Geneva, we got records.
Yeah.
She would still like to do that for sure.
Well, we don't have to
honestly,
decide now, but
right now, I do think we should probably wait on this.
we need it for next month, but we can.
That record scanning, the company that everybody liked the best was very expensive. The other companies include, and I told Shelley I'd be over there to talk to her, so I need to get over there. They include annual fees, and some of those annual fees, I mean, in 10 years, you add them up and they exceed the very expensive one.
They are.
So it really needs to be evaluated what the best way to go is.
Well, that's what she's just finishing up with right now. It's evaluating this. We had interviewed all 4 companies.
Yeah.
And then out of that, her and I both, we had a favorite, because of not only the way they scan, but the indexing and the indexing software. So, I don't know how she's gonna present, unless you've talked to her in the last week or 2.
I haven't, but I'll get over there. I've talked to her about it. I was around for a couple of the presentations, but not all of them.
It was gonna be a matter.
Yeah, that one will put this.
It wouldn't be. If she were to scan every single record. The overall. Scan.
Correct.
But, all she's asking for is 500,000, and then that way she can do the trifolds and things that are most requested. Plus, that company would give us 2 years free software for indexing. So then in that time, we could build a bridge from their software to the, dot record.
Just because I think that's coming, I think we should maybe wait if everybody.
Well, yeah, that's fine. We just need to make sure by next month, we know what we're spending that comes out of the budget that we approve next month.
Yeah.
So we have a
Right.
month to figure it out, and we don't have to figure out all that stuff. We just gotta figure out what's coming out, basically.
I kind of need to know now, because I gotta put that stuff in and it's gotta be I gotta put it in Loud to be able to talk to Gateway, and then I gotta print the forms from Gateway. So that's why in the email out to you guys, I said to have an idea of what you guys want today. Because otherwise, in October, you guys gotta sign off,
Mm-hmm.
and if I gotta change numbers and go back up and get the papers. But the other thing on the exam of records, I'm pretty sure, and I think Tony,
I
it has
think
to
that
be
only would cover the federal audits.
only the federal audit, and even though there's 100,000 in commissioners, that is to pay for everybody, all cities and towns.
Townships and cities and everything, they pay
We
us
can't
back.
pay them out, so they actually reimburse us, but it doesn't go back in the line. So we have to pay for every audit that is done, and then when settlement is done in June and December, they pay the county back, but it just goes back into county general.
Yeah.
So is that,
So that wouldn't,
so that would be a bad one to use, you're saying?
That would be a bad.
and
Okay.
you could use the federal audit, but
And yeah,
I
the
don't
federal
know.
portion of it if you wanted to, but that's not gonna be
I
that
don't know what it is.
huge.
I mean, I feel like the easiest would be the medical contract and then some of the CUME funds. I mean, that would pretty quickly, it'd be easy. I don't know.
And that 250,000 for the QCAP computer, was that part of the, that ongoing 5-year plan type? For updating all the servers?
I don't know. That's just what the line item said.
So right now, we have a little over 1.5 unallocated, right?
Yeah.
About, yeah.
But there's still some out there
We
Yeah,
don't have
there's
resolution.
that we're waiting on.
Pending
Right.
requests.
Mhm.
The computer hardware purchase, it's little claims here and there, so it's not like one big
So
one.
that's not a good one.
I don't want to do
I
that.
mean, they're anywhere from $180 to
Oh, yeah.
$1,000. There's,
Of the 250?
It's
It's
little
just
things at a
little
time
claims here.
for whichever department needs something.
it's like, it's not one big, or even a couple big ones. It's,
So actually, all right, pending and anticipated requests here. We've actually, no, we're around $1 million. We're around 1.1.
Yeah, about.
It's under.
Mhm.
Because we pretty much said okay to,
You
So
said
based on the-
okay
Every-
to
not
trucks and
everyone
mowers
agrees.
for Parks and Rec. You tentatively said okay for the surveyors, trucks and trailers line. You've,
we're going to help the library, but we're just going to try to determine the details of it a little bit.
okay.
I
I
mean,
believe the commissioners have approved the crisis center. Is that what you told me?
Commissioners have approved the
So
crisis center
that's
and
before you
the
for
library.
Right, that's before you for consideration. I sent you the South Adams School request.
Mhm. So I wrote down everything that we talked about at
That's
the
80,000,
last
I
one,
think.
and we had said yes to everything on that pending list except,
we didn't say
We
yes to
said-
Geneva IT, that was
Correct.
additional.
correct, we said no to them, we said no to the Adams Wells, and then the IT data center.
Well, now you haven't formally voted on it.
Correct,
so-
I'm just saying this is what we talked about for like an hour or so, just reminding everybody what we had said. And then yes, tentatively yes to the South Adams pickleball to match the Decatur one.
So the SBOA federal audit is in here. Bree, are you saying leave it in there or not leave it in there? $10,000
The
for federal
cost,
audit.
the estimated
federal-
anticipated cost of the
The
audit.
federal
Is-
part
for
of
the
it,
federal.
right?
Keep that one.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to do just the federal one.
That's not a big pain in the butt. Okay. So,
I mean, I feel like we're kind of starting to just like pick and choose instead of just do big things.
Like Corey's idea, take one purpose.
Because I'm gonna have to,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to
medical's the
remember
biggest.
if invoice comes for just the federal audit, that's gonna come out of ARPA. She's gonna have to do a resolution for that, like, instead of doing
Scanning
big
would be
projects.
Year.
right, so that's what I'm asking.
Like, if you can't do all of it, I wouldn't do it.
Okay, then we just,
What
So-
about- what if we just do that medical contract then? That's like 470, one shot and done.
Yeah, because you said we can make one payment.
Same thing for the medical, yeah, you can do them instead of monthly. It's just broken up that way, but we want to do one shot of, let's do that. It's just one payment instead of 2 years.
Which would
Well,
help that budget.
that's not right now, though, and this, what I'm looking at here. So we'll come back to that in a second, but out of these ones right here that I think everybody agrees on, can we vote to approve those right now? So that would be, which, the library help for what they want,
Mhm.
the clerk, 500,000 for digital imaging, South Adams School, Parks and Rec, and the surveyor.
Okay, I want to go through those one more time. So the library, yes, I think we're on the same page there. What was the next one? South Adams,
South Adams,
yes.
clerk,
Now, last time we had said that we were moving that to like 226 instead of 500. I don't remember what that
That's for
was.
something different. That 226 is for
26
voting
is for
equipment.
voting equipment. And
This is for digital image.
The other one's for scanning.
right.
Yep.
I just, that 500,000 might.
The 226 is already in.
Though.
We're ready for an ARPA
There's
approval.
two
I think,
lists
for
out
that.
there, because there's the other one, the 100,000 for commissioners for exam of records, the medical contract, the 250 CUMCAP computer hardware, 75 CUMCAP computer software, 60 grand for GIS, cum court,
Well,
but a lot of these aren't on this other list.
this is
They're
not
all
looking
pending
at
too.
is a summary that Julie sent out
No,
yesterday.
they're not on my summary list. Those were suggestions for consideration as you're
Right,
discussing
that's what I'm
today.
saying. is
So
there's-
no, that's not part of it.
But these are ones we've discussed right now. So again, the library, the clerk, South Adams, Parks and Rec, surveyor. I feel like everybody agrees on those right now.
All those except clerk, I have a note that I don't understand, so I'm not saying I object to it, I just don't understand it yet, but all the other ones definitely.
The clerk, I believe Fred's talking about and that Stan was talking about is the 500,000 that Shelley wanted for scanning. The 226 was for voting equipment and so
Yes.
forth. And that,
We did,
We've already.
Commissioner sent it to you guys to see where you
we
wanted
already
to pay
approved
it.
that.
And that was
Okay.
Julie Marie's got things ready for all that, for that, I think. But I think the commissioners will also have to vote on that after this meeting because all they did was send it to council to decide how to pay it. So now it comes, if you guys approve that, it then goes back to commissioners to also approve the 226. The voting equipment.
I think I'm about scanning.
No, that's why I'm trying to explain, there's two separate things. The 226,
We've already okayed that.
Yeah, I thought you were
I don't
just
know if
talking
you
about
formally okayed it in a
the
meeting.
scanning.
But everybody,
You voted on it at the last meeting. I
Yeah.
mean, you voted to approve it.
Okay.
It just needs to be adopted.
Needs to be
pursuant
adopted
a
as a resolution.
so right now, we're just trying to cover the stuff.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
500,000 is
so you're, I think
Maybe
that,
stuff that out of this list that Julie sent out last night, I would just like to eliminate the ones that I think we all agree on, which I think is the library, the clerk, South Adams, Parks and Rec, and the surveyor.
yes.
Is everybody good with those?
Yes.
So not doing the federal.
Well, we're not saying no to those, but
Okay.
right now, the easy.
Tabling those for
The
now.
low hanging fruit right now, just to get those off the table, and we can discuss the others here, but
Okay.
And the surveyor truck and trailer, if you guys approve that out of ARPA today, it would also go to commissioners for their approval, which would come out of their budget.
Which is,
So those
that's already on this list, I
I
think.
just-
And that would lower
Everybody good
this
with those?
budget.
Out of that list that Fred, that you had just read off, I don't know that South Adams and the surveyor equipment is coming before us.
Well,
I
but
think they
it
just
will,
have submitted.
It's going to.
It's going,
Julie Marie has it today.
yeah, it'll go to you guys, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
On the South Adams ones, just a quick note on that, since it just came in, I think last night or something. Since it comes from municipality, which I think so far we've sort of made the informal thing that we really don't want to get into the private world because it's just once you do one, there's 1,000 of them, but that would be another municipality, so I'm okay with that. And then also the fact that we did a pickleball court for Decatur, I think it makes sense, so I'm definitely in favor of that.
I guess I would disagree on the premise that the pickleball court that we approved for Decatur is technically part of the park system, which we are part of with Decatur as part of the county. The one for the school system is a whole separate financial system, separate entity. It's not part of the county. It's not part of the county financials. So I guess I differentiate between those two. And that's why I voted for the pickleball courts in Decatur, because they were part of the Adams County Parks system.
I know we did do Geneva's IT, at the beginning. I know there's a different IT one here we're talking about now, but we did do them. And then we're also doing the library.
And part of the reasoning for Geneva was because
Yes, it's, It's going to amend
The emergency services.
taxpayer dollars.
We gave them a pretty deep, I mean, right now, again, that would be up for discussion. That's why I didn't say that one right now, but the ones,
I'm not trying to sway your decision, but in my mind, that's kind of how I reason out the difference between the Parks Department and South Adams.
Well, and the crisis center, I think, is out here to represent them on what they had requested. And I believe commissioners had already approved it. I think council tabled it last month.
Mhm.
They had tabled it.
Yeah.
Who else is waiting on a decision besides crisis center? I forget.
I think it's just the
Library.
crisis center, the
The
library.
library was up to 50,000, I think was what you all approved. And you guys are looking at what could be done less expensively.
That's a motion, I'll second.
okay, so on the council, if we agree on those, and the commissioners obviously want to do something, to approve a different part of it, that's up to them.
Well, I still think Geneva IT, I mean,
Well,
our, I guess, department head recommended that we spend our money updating, and it took them this. And then,
but the low hanging fruit right now, can we approve that? And we'll talk about the Geneva IT and the other ones. That's all I'm suggesting.
well, I think that would be a low hanging fruit too. That's why I'd like to
I don't
do
know.
that.
I don't know. That's one I want to discuss for me personally.
Put in here, is there-
I mean, our group brought this dollar amount to Geneva, and it is part of the emergency communication system for the county. And it turns out we were wrong, and now we're leaving them on the hook. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, can we just approve the ones though that we?
That you want to approve?
No, we all said that we agree on.
I only heard that from down here.
So you want to discuss the IT.
And then the other ones
Geneva
like
separately,
CIT and I
correct?
just want to come back and
Yeah.
discuss those.
Yeah, that's fine.
That
I
way it
mean,
just lowers the number on the list is all I'm saying.
that's good.
I did have one other, but in your list that you're talking about, Fred, did you include the equipment for the surveyor?
Yeah.
Okay, because that would affect our budget, because if you don't approve it through ARPA, then I guess I'd like to see it back.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's got a problem with that one either, honestly.
I think that's a legitimate.
So I don't have any problem with those ones that you said. I think there's some disagreement on the other ones, so I don't know if it's easier
And
to
I'm not
just.
feeling convinced otherwise. I just want to.
You'd probably make a motion to not approve whatever you don't want to approve that's already out there, and then
Well, no. I'll just make a motion to approve all the things he did say, and then we can, right after that, we'll talk about the rest of them.
So it'd be library, clerk,
Okay, library for 50,000,
Parks and Rec, surveyor.
library for 50,000, clerk for 500, South Adams for 80, surveyor for 160, Parks and Rec for 75. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Is everybody good with approving those?
Park and Rec is
I
out.
motion, Kathy seconded.
Number, we should only numbers on here.
It's the number that's in front of
How
us.
much was Park and Rec?
I don't know whether there's quotes or, I mean, it's the number that's in front of us.
I'm just asking if yes, because then we do appropriate, and then the money doesn't get spent, so then you're back to the drawing board again.
For Park and Rec?
That's fine.
5,000.
If there's quotes, like, had these people came and asked for this money with quotes.
I don't
Because
know.
you're gonna be in the same boat that we're in with IT right now,
Libraries,
where we just said,
clerk.
well, here's 300,000, and now we're, or the generator, the roof, or whatever it was.
Yeah, the van.
Then we're back to,
The
oh, well,
library-
we overspent because the full project was never looked at.
Well, all of these though are not projects like that, honestly. They're not a continuing project where you're doing this and, oh, by the way, we didn't realize we also have to do this, this, and this to get this done. None of these are that. And we stop right there. We approve this and say, the rest, if there's more than that, is gonna be on you. That's the difference.
I think South Adams, when they submitted
You
their
just make
ARPA
80,000.
request,
Yeah.
did provide some quotes and estimates. The library did as well. The clerk's office does have a specific supplier that they want to use, so that's based upon that. And the surveyor and Parks and Rec are vehicles for which they know the retail value. So that's the basis of those requests. So I think we're okay on those.
Is the clerk amount that you guys are referring to right now, the 226?
No, that's a
No,
500.
that's the 500 they're
So it's the
referring to
500,
right
so,
now.
but they still have to approve the 226 today as well.
Formally, we need to adopt a resolution,
Right.
but they
A resolution.
previously agreed
Resolution.
upon it.
That's all.
Yes.
I'm just trying to get my numbers right for the minutes here, and I'm getting a little confused.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Clerk has it in their budget already.
Yeah, the three of us have to sit up and try to figure it all out after.
226 is in her budget.
Should have come out, did it?
Up to ARPA.
That was the published, but adopted. We took it out.
Yeah, it should have.
Yes, we took it out of there.
You moved it to ARPA, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took it out of the allowance. Up to 50, surveyor 160.
So this 500,000 is in additional
For
Park and Rec.
for the scanning.
Park and Rec.
That's they had an array of different options, the off-site, story,
Right,
here.
right.
80,000 pickleball court and surveyor was trucks and trailers.
Right.
Well, are we good to?
I motioned, Kathy seconded, yeah.
Oh, okay. So we have a motion and a second, Dennis.
Yes.
So my
Commissioners have
discussion
already
for the
approved
surveyor might be the hours
So it's just.
Mhm.
for zeroing equipment and
Kevin,
commissioners.
approximate
We still, I'd like to keep.
We're gonna run some numbers right now. Yeah.
How much is in the equipment right now for commission?
160.
I think you just use the same amount, yeah.
160.
To,
For what?
160 is for a truck and trailer for the surveyor's office.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
What's being proposed is that be paid with ARPA, which would lower the commissioner's budget by 160,000. It would then be paid by ARPA.
but Stan's saying he doesn't want the 160 out.
Well, if you take it out of there, but I guess I'm saying, you know, historically, we've spent anywhere from, 16,700 to 30,000, 33. So I guess I'd like to keep, even if we take the truck and trailer out.
Nothing was spent in there last year.
So do you just want to do like 130 from ARPA and then leave 30 in there?
Well, it would still be 160 from ARPA.
So the line item,
Just leave 30 on
the equipment line item, big commissioner, anybody, if something comes up throughout the year, it gets used for that. So I don't think the full 106, what was the quote for the truck and trailer?
Mike, do you know?
Yeah, the 160 is real close to what it is the present. We haven't got the updated ones for the.
Because Paul had actually put that in a few years ago.
We won't receive it this year. It'd be how long, a year?
So I guess then
Could be.
you would do 160 in ARPA, but then
I guess if you do 160 for that item, the truck and trailer out of ARPA, I would ask to keep probably like 30,000 in equipment.
So 160 would still be the ARPA, but rather than dropping that equipment line in the commissioner's budget to zero, it's gonna go back in with 30,000. So they have something in there for equipment. So you're actually lowering the overall budget by 130.
That's
Yeah.
what I would-
That's fine.
That's fine.
They gotta have something in there.
Mhm.
Sounds like Biden.
So whatever that total amounts to.
Yes.
Would be-
So what you have just said that you'd like to approve is going to be 865,000. So subtracting that from the balance, it would leave unallocated ARPA balance funds of 711,947 and 6 cents.
Good. We have a first and a second, but I don't think we actually voted.
Yeah.
Yes, you haven't voted yet. I'm just giving you some
Corey made the
numbers.
motion, I believe. Corey, is that the correct motion?
Yeah, Kathy seconded it.
Kathy seconded? And let's list again
yeah, I was gonna say.
what they're approving, because it kind of went back and forth.
Library for 50,
Or up to 50, actually.
or up to 50.
Okay.
Clerk for 500. South Adams for 80. Parks and Rec for 75.
And Julie Reed said that's trucks, mowers, things of that nature.
Yep.
Okay.
Surveyor, 160.
Okay, I've got everything written down then. And I think the piece of that,
And we're not doing the medical contract.
Well, not yet.
Well-
We gotta, that was just round one, basically.
that,
So then we have a motion for those right now.
okay,
A
so
motion and a second.
Kathy.
So we just need to vote on that.
Have a motion to approve the dollar amounts for the specified entities and the amount of the money that's mentioned. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
865,000 total. I think it's what Julie Marie said.
So if they approve, then they're pending the commissioners approve, right?
The only one, I believe out of that, the only one that the commissioners had already approved was the library up to 50,000 out of the ones that were just mentioned. So commissioners will then have to approve what you just approved.
Right.
Right.
We have to approve clerk, South Adams, surveyor, and Parks and Rec.
So that leaves, we already agreed to the federal audit thing, just be better to leave off, so we're not doing that one. On that, let's leave Adams Wells, Crisis Center, and Geneva.
Yep. And then, if we do the 470 from the sheriff.
I just had a quick question for Julie Marie.
Yes.
Since you approved all those things on one resolution, are they gonna come before us as one resolution or can we?
No,
separate?
they're not doing a resolution. What they're doing is they've got a vote saying that they're okay with it. It is subject to your approval, and then it'll have to be a resolution thereafter.
Okay.
So we're not doing a resolution on those things yet.
Those
would all be individual.
Those would be all individual resolutions, correct?
Yeah.
I will say, so on the two that are left, I mean, I see both sides of both of those, and I honestly kind of struggle with them. But this is my, I guess, thought process. The Adams Wells Crisis Center, it definitely feels like a good thing to do, and helping them and all that, but it's also a private entity, and as Corey mentioned, you start doing those, and then where does that stop? So I'm not sure about, because then you're picking winners and losers. You're gonna have 100 of them, and how do you disperse those then? So I struggle with that one in that regard. And then with Geneva IT, we already gave them, it was 130 or 140 or something like that, for their stuff down there. And so, I don't know, I struggle to go more towards that, but.
How much over, how much
Tell
is
me, I
the
don't
amount
know. I don't
over?
know, what am I missing there?
Corey, do you have that amount? How much?
We introduced, they came,
IT went over.
it was based on Mike Brown's
For
assessment of their
96,900.
system. We went down and installed everything.
Come on.
Turns out we were wrong. Our body,
Mike
Our
was wrong when he
group.
originally quoted it.
and now we got dead money down there. And, I don't think we should leave the security for the southern part of the county up for grabs.
My concern is.
I mean, Sheriff, how well are those radios working down there? It's spotty, just on the,
Spotty,
and then to deprive them of all IT emergency
A lot of
services.
that has to do with the mobile capacities, where there's officers being able to get 16 outside cars. I believe more of what
Oh my gosh.
that dealt with, not so much the radios. It's.
I'm just saying it's already, they got some problems down there with
Yeah.
communications the way it is. Medics,
This is gonna
officers.
Bring up the data capabilities to the rest of the county standards. Here, I'm not sure what you guys did down there, I was not a part of that. But if it's not complete, then that gives weaknesses to our entire system because they're in our system.
Right.
Same thing with Decatur, Burn Police Department, if their systems are not out of standard, then that's a weakness to our entire system.
Does anyone know if we provided this stuff to Byrne or Decatur or Monroe?
We did not.
No.
I mean, do we come in and say they're substandard, so we need to go pay for them?
I know Mike has talked with Decatur on some issues, but I think they have taken care of it over time and dealt with it. Geneva was deep in the hole, and this is getting them back up to playing ground.
One thing
I think we've got good relationships with Decatur because they've got, On our private network, we've got the city, we've got the fire department, we've got the police department. So there's just a real strong cooperation here. But with Geneva, they needed to really improve some infrastructure there. Between the fire department, the city hall, the police department, and all that. And so Andrew Briggs came up and kind of met with us in the change committee and kind of talked about what kind of things would have to happen, and kind of Mike laid out a plan to be able to complete that. So, you know, Andrew is just real strong as far as wanting to get them up to the standard.
So does anybody know, let's say we are okay this, does that complete this then? Or are we gonna come back next month asking for more? That's what, I mean, this is one of those, you know,
I can assume this is
everything
Well,
that
I
we
guess
missed the
in
first
answer
time.
to your question specifically, no, it will not complete, but I guess that's why I brought up, you know, a member of their town council coming up to meet with us, because he's got a real strong desire to finish the project. However, they need to finish it, not necessarily use.
And I agree, if they're gonna be on our system, I agree, it needs to be finished and complete. But, you know, like I feel like some of the IT projects that were started before most of this council was ever even in place are still ongoing, and we're still paying for stuff that I don't even know where the end is. And so that's my biggest problem with this, and I already feel like the entities within the county, not the county itself, we provide IT services for next to nothing. I think they probably, I'm assuming, pay for the hardware, but our labor.
The licensing.
Yeah,
Well, they're probably covering their own licensing, but as far as the labor goes,
Reimbursed for our costs, but not labor.
yeah, and that, to me, we gotta change something there. You know, people say, oh, that's double taxation. Well, if we were to say, go get your own 911, you're gonna be paying a hell of a lot more than that.
And all the entities do definitely have that choice. Nobody was strong-armed into coming onto our private.
It makes sense to be, we're a small county, it makes sense for everybody to be on the same system, and I agree with that. However, they need to pay their portion of it. And it seems like it always falls back to us. And so but that's another topic that we could beat to death. But I don't know, it'd be nice to know that this would complete this project and get it all whole. And
One thing with IT, it might complete the project, but they have to always budget.
yeah, at that point though, it becomes their budget.
If you wait 2 years, you're out of date of everything, and then you're back where you
Right.
start. So that's the thing with IT. It is always ongoing, but if you plan for it, there's no
Exactly.
surprises. And I think
Yes.
that's what needs to be, make sure will happen in the future.
Well, I've been beating that drum actually since the time I got
IT
to
is
council.
expensive. Look at my budget. Look how much I spend on it. I mean, it's expensive.
And the tax base in Geneva is lower than Monroe.
It is.
We all know IT is going up.
But their needs should be less, to some
Right.
degree.
Well, yeah, the infrastructure would still be the same.
No, I mean, my problem, I guess my struggle with this is that we're taking everybody else in the county's taxpayer dollars and giving it to one entity. You know, it's like Byrne didn't get any money from this. Decatur didn't get any money. Monroe's not getting any money.
But not necessarily.
You know, it just doesn't, that's why I voted against it the first time. And I
This
probably will vote against it too.
encompasses the entire southern part of the county. The data transfer for all the
Isn't it
cars,
just Geneva though?
that's the hub is,
But like Byrne will have its own, so they're good to
yeah,
go.
they're,
So it's
Byrne's hub.
just Geneva.
Well, the burn cars also go to the officers, the EMS, they go to Geneva.
Our cars go down there and piggyback off their stuff too.
Yeah,
So,
it's part of the
everybody.
entire infrastructure of the county.
But I guess it still doesn't seem fair though, because you're piggybacking off of Burns too, but we're not giving Byrne any money.
Well, I think we need to look at those items in the future by way of specificity, cost support by way of other entities. We've got the issues before us right now to look at.
Right, that's what, I mean, that's what we're trying to do, but what happens is we end up not getting all the details or knowing all the details, and we think, oh, this is a complete project, so we vote yay or nay on it. And when we vote yay, we end up having more requests come for us for the same project, because it wasn't entirely thought out and planned out well enough. And so that's what we're getting at. I don't have a huge, I mean, I understand what you're saying is it's not fair here or there, but each parts of the county benefit in different ways. And I'm big about being all like on the community on the whole. Now, if somebody is totally dominating that, then, you know, you have to be careful of that, obviously.
Yeah,
But
this is county infrastructure, and a matter of public safety portion of the
But-
infrastructure.
But Geneva also needs to be accountable for their portion.
Yeah, they need a budget.
And
What was it last time?
130 or 40, I think.
Yeah.
132
So, I mean, essentially this takes them up to,
225.
yeah, in that ballpark.
I mean, I don't know. I
When
feel
we
like
already
need to-
give them our labor for free, pretty much.
Do you want to just keep moving on these? Someone want to make a motion and we can up or down it and move on?
I'll make a motion to approve the $94,992.66 for the chief IT.
Second.
Good. So I have one more question before you do.
What was the dollar amount, John, you said?
It's 95,000. It's 95,000, that's what it is. Can we, is there anybody we can ask, we don't have to make this decision right now, right?
This one, no. Yeah, we would
So
not
is
have
there
to.
anybody that we can find out, does this complete this project? Or-
Well, maybe to answer that, this is on blue one here. Does that mean there's not actually
will
an
not
application
I
yet?
don't think this will complete it, Fred, from what we talked about in the change committee.
So how,
So I would actually move that we table this one because it's still in blue, which means we don't have an actual filed proposal yet, which probably would answer your question anyways. We don't have an actual amount.
That was, I understood it was to complete it, understanding
Money in this, though.
more continued upgrades, like yearly, you know.
I think it.
yearly needs to be
Hardware.
a Geneva
Right.
budget.
Yeah.
So,
They're budgeting for it now.
Yeah, because they weren't sure what all the line of sight was.
I would say we don't do anything on this till they actually file a real proposal.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
pulled that number from the informational email that Mike sent, anticipating some of the additionals that he was going to be needing on his various projects. There's not been a formal ARPA application giving quotes or anything specific. This is just the information that I have as an FYI.
yeah, I think I'd like to table it as well until we get more information. We know what, you know, this is gonna, again, I know I say complete the project. Of course, there's annual maintenance and upgrades and all that stuff. That needs to become part of their budget. But to get it whole and get it rolling, does that do that? And I think we need to find that out.
Well, for lack of a second, the motion has failed.
There was a second.
Who seconded
Want to
it?
wait
John
until they
and
file
Bob.
something, or do you want to move forward?
John and Bob.
They haven't filed
I
their
think
release
at the
test.
very least.
Yeah, I'm not saying absolutely no.
And it's earmarked at least.
Their motion was to.
Yeah, well, we just don't vote on it then, basically, like leave it on there as a pending. Well, it's not even a pending request yet. They haven't filed anything.
I guess I'd be willing to give it 1 month. We can give you Mike to make sure that that's, we'll finish it. Yeah, to where it needs to be with ongoing upgrades.
And have them submit it, so we actually have something to look at.
But I think.
Let's
we
call a
do
question
whatever
here.
we need.
Let's call for the question.
Well, I think they're withdrawing. I think they're saying they're withdrawing the motion because we don't have enough info. I think that's what you're saying.
We've
right?
gone the motion, John?
I didn't say it was withdrawing.
Because right now, we've got a motion and a second.
I said I would be willing to withdraw my second, but by next month, we need to have the answer from Mike. If this will get it to where it's good with ongoing upgrades. I think we need to do it. Because we gotta have the public safety at the south end of the county.
I don't disagree, but I don't want to, we need to know what the number is. And then, again, after that, it becomes their budget item. And then the whole labor thing to me still needs to be worked out, but I just don't want to arbitrarily approve this and then next month, there's another request.
Have him come down here now.
You want Mike down here now?
Oh, we need. Need to know.
Do we need a formal motion before we vote on this or not? I mean, is this,
Or what?
I mean, we don't even have a
We can,
petition from them.
I mean, if
No,
John-
it needs to be formally requested. The commissioners need to approve the additional expenditure from ARPA, and then it comes to you.
Okay.
So this is just to give you an idea as to where money might be needed as you contemplate where you spend it.
And if Bob were to withdraw his second, then it would fail, like Dennis said, for lack of a second. But otherwise, there's a motion and second, you'd all have to vote it up or down. Depends on what Bob does with the second.
Now,
I just don't
I don't
wanna-
want to do it right now.
I
Because
don't wanna
honestly, he's not going to know. He needs to
Remove,
get the information and, he'd be shooting from the hip probably right now.
I still want to keep my motion to have it at least earmarked. Could we
Well, if
remove it later?
It's on the table right now. It's pending. It's there. So it's not like, it's just like everything else, but we've tabled.
It'd be something like Julie Marie said, that if Mike pulls that together and it becomes an actual ARPA request, she'll have the form, she'll have all the information. That will then go to the commissioners before the October meeting. And if they approve it, then, and you could even have Mike come to the next meeting.
And staying on the list without a motion. I mean, if you want to make the motion, go ahead. But right now, my vote would be no.
Well, there are other ones that could eat up the entire balance,
Well,
all the other ones that aren't on this list.
there's only,
Right.
there's only three really that we're talking about now. Is that one, the crisis center, and then if we did the 473 out of the sheriff's budget for the medical contract, and you would have enough for all of those.
Yeah, there'd be enough for everything on that list.
So what, you want to leave the motion, John, or what are you doing?
I don't know. I'd assume it just gets shut down.
Again, I'm not saying, I'm not saying I'm opposed. I just
If you want to
more
remove
details.
your second.
I'll remove my second, just that I would like to have this, to get with Mike and have this come through next month, because I think it needs to be addressed and done.
Yeah, I'd
But
like,
we have a final number, though.
at least have it
Pleasure
earmarked.
here.
Request.
Bob withdrew his second. If there is no other second, then it fails for.
Motion died. Okay,
So the only one left on this list then, that's the pending list, is the crisis center.
And the sheriff's medical contract.
And the,
Well, it's not on that list.
which is something else that
I sent an
would
email
still have to have a
to
request.
all you guys, and I want to really reiterate that again. I have a connection to it. I'm not hiding that. My wife is on the board for that. However, the crisis center has been here for a very long time, started by a donation. They have never asked the county for funding. They need help, and they're providing a service for everybody in this community. It's a service that helps us in law enforcement, the medics. It helps all of us in emergency services. Without them, our hands would be tied on a lot of situations. And it's critical. And we have helped out private individuals. We helped out an HOA with ARPA money. That's not even an organization, a nonprofit. Those are private citizens we've helped with this funding. I believe this is what this funding is for. Yes, is it a pain if everybody starts getting these? We don't have much money left. So they've done their homework. They've asked appropriately with documentation, and I fully support this request with ARPA. That's what this money is for. Yes, it's helped government out immensely. There's no doubt about that. But this is an organization that's been here for probably 20 years and has never received a dime of public money. And they've done a service for the entire 20 years. They scrape, they beg, they borrow, do all the grants, federal, state, everything. And I think they deserve an opportunity to be helped by this fund so they can continue helping the community. And again, they help everybody, English, Amish, young, old, men, women, kids, it's everybody. So please consider that when you vote. Thank you.
So what's this, like, how is the, how do we know where and how that money is spent if we were to award you with it?
How it's spent where?
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean,
might have to send in like all receipts and proof of
Well,
what we used this
you
money.
presented, it was a roof, HVAC, and
yeah.
There were.
Yeah, she has quotes, yeah, I know, I saw the list.
Yeah, she'd have to bring her,
All the stuff's going through our office.
Yeah, it would all get paid through ARPA.
And we have
Only
to provide
89.50.
the invoices, just like I do. I provide her an invoice, she pays it. The shelter would also have to do
We're
that.
not just gonna send them.
We don't just write a check, they have to send us invoices. When they run out of the money, then
This is one that the commissioners have already approved.
So how do we distinguish this? Because, you know, we had the community crossroads and the big issue with them was this is a private organization. That was our big thing. So how do we distinguish that, right? Because otherwise there's,
well, originally it was because it was a religious.
Because there was a religious mandate
That's
attached
what's
to it.
that was part of it. I understand that, but that was not like the main thing. That could have been gotten around.
And that one, I guess, on that one, part of it too, for me, was being on county property, so the county's gonna have an ongoing liability.
Well, part of it for me though too is, we knew nothing about them.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. They have no track record, no history, nothing. Absolutely nothing. The crisis center's been around for how long?
26 years, actually.
So-
So I'm actually on call for all law enforcement 24 hours a day taking lethality calls. So that's for every agency in Adams County. So if they are on scene to a domestic call, they're supposed to call my on-call number anytime of the night or day, depending on like assessments. You know, so I have to let that victim know right on scene that she's at increased risk to be killed, dead, or murdered. It's all state stuff. You know, so we do all that training for all law enforcement.
Yes.
Based on that law, right? So, you know, we don't just help all of the county agencies.
And gentlemen, I think you said too, the other one was, he had proved himself. The shelter has proved itself.
Yeah, that for me, I mean, the big thing about the other one was
Correct.
absolutely knew nothing about
I
that.
agree with that assessment wholeheartedly. They have proven themselves. And the limits of the grants keeps them from spending grant money on the things that she's requesting. That has to come from straight fundraising. So, I just wholly support
Do
this.
fundraising?
Yeah, a lot of the budget is fundraising, but a lot of that
Like,
goes.
how many people would you say are, I don't know how to put it, is
What's your numbers?
like the clients that come through or whatever you want to call it, of people that end up being served essentially?
So while she's getting that together, I mean, I cannot tell you how many phone calls, I mean, I was shocked, how many phone calls and people that came to me really, really upset about us not going forward with the Crossroads. And at first I was in favor of them, but I ended up being against. And the reason I told them was I have to be philosophically honest with myself. If I say I believe in a limited and small government that does not give away money to private organizations, I can't change that just because I happen to like the cause. And that was very hard for me, but that is what I believe. And so I'm not going to change that. And so I told them, no, it's a private organization. I can't, it's not right. That's not what I say I believe, even though I like it. And so now if all of a sudden we go the opposite direction, you know, it's exact opposite of what we're saying. So again, I love the cause. It's just, I want to be honest with ourselves and what we say we believe, that we stay consistent with it. So that's my struggle, even though I think it's an absolutely amazing cause.
Well, just making sure you're saying I and not we.
Well, I do think a lot of us
I
say
understand
that.
his point. I mean, that is my battle with it as well. And that's why I want to get as much information as possible. And again, they do have a track record, and it is a struggle because everybody's intentions are good. And, you know, and as Corey's alluding to, I feel like, you know, part of the community responsibility is to come up with these things. And years, as far as years ago, we did these things as a community, not as a government. And now we're looking to the government for them all the time. And so that is a struggle for me. But obviously, I mean, I've talked to people about the crisis center, and so I just want as much information as possible. I'm not saying I'm going to I personally will decide anything today, but I'm also not ruling anything out either. So,
So I have with me statistics from 2022. So in 2022, we served 94 adults in Adams County, all over the county. So our services, when we changed from being a residential to a non-residential, it really changed how we service somebody. There's no length of, they can be a client forever as long as we are actively working on for them to live a life away from violence. With this new method, we're getting a lot of people who have not left their abuser yet who are reaching out. We're getting nurses, we're getting teachers, we're getting people that are right next to you in the coffee line before you come to work, trying to build that support and get education so they feel like they can leave and they can have a support system when they do leave. So really our work looks a lot different than what it used 2 years ago. Like I said, most of our clients, in fact, 76% come from Adams County, at least in 2022, and then we served 94 children in Adams County last year as well. So like when school gets out, I'll go to South Adams and I have a room reserved there and I meet with some students who are faced with teen dating violence where, I mean, it's affecting everybody now, but I have students in all 3 public schools right now. So after school, I have a room reserved and we meet with them individually. Meeting in the Amish community, people are coming into our building for like emergency stays. Whenever that somebody scores in high lethality with law enforcement, we take action right on scene at that time. Just
so can any of the people that you help I mean, some of them I would think would be able to afford fees or whatever. Is that, anybody pay anything?
No, all services are free.
They are free, okay.
This is a victim-based service. I mean, these are people that have been witness to or experienced, violence of some sort.
I understand.
Yes.
But does that mean every victim doesn't have a job and every victim can't afford? I mean, I'm just asking and trying to get some clarification.
Honestly, you say that, especially with the domestic violence, they don't have jobs because that's part of the control that their offender had over them. One of the recent ones we had, there was mother-daughter, wasn't allowed to work. Daughter wasn't allowed to get a driver's license. He isolated them that much. So they have to rely on them. That's part of the abuse. So it is very common.
No outside.
It's very common that they don't have jobs. They had to help her and get a social security card so she could get a job, so she could get a driver's license, because that was not allowed in the household that she lived in. And that is extremely common. So a lot of them don't have jobs. They train them how to do resumes and stuff, then they go get jobs. And that woman and that daughter, they do now have jobs. So they have turned themselves around and they're still getting services from the shelter. So it's just an ongoing thing. And I understand some of your issues as far as helping out private individuals, but you guys have already an HOH. That's a private. Am I wrong in that issue?
We're public facilities though that serve it. And don't get me wrong, honestly, I struggled with that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody was.
Well, like I said, this money's gonna run out here very soon, so people won't be asking. According to your figures, with what you have and moving medical contract, the money's gonna be used up, and it has to be used up by 2025. So you're doing your jobs. It's just, if the people haven't come to you for the request, that's on them.
Yeah, I don't have a problem picking and choosing between, any.
Mine.
Well,
But
that's literally our jobs. So if that's what it takes for me to sit up here and pick one over the other, I've got to rationally verbalize every decision. And
yeah, within the governmental system that we have, I mean, I have no problem with that at all. But what makes her cause any better than, and I think it is a good cause, by the way, than, somebody else that comes in here and they also will give us a story that's a tough story and think, man, I mean, honestly, your request is the one I've been thinking about more than anybody's.
well, we all
I mean, it really is.
declined the recovery house based on, we all had our own opinions one way or the other, whether we verbalized them independently or just assumed.
And I think I individually support Recovery House in the community, and part of the difference is we've been here 26 years and never came and asked for funding, and we're just getting to the point where our building is 20 years old, and everything needs
Where
updated,
is the crisis center? I don't even know.
right behind the First Bank of Vernon Quality Inn, next to the St. Vincent de Paul.
Okay, got it.
And for the longest time, their existence was meant to be kept secret because you want to
That's
abuse
what-
the price and then within probably the last 8 years, it has become public. They have a sign on it, things like that. But before, it was kept.
So when I became the director 4 years ago, the big push was to publicize where you are because bad people already know where you are and the people that need help don't know where to go to get help. So one of the first things I did was I put a big sign on the brick, which proved to be true. The people that needed help didn't know how to reach us or find us.
And the bad guys did know
They
where.
already knew
I
where
mean,
we were.
you get calls.
So,
How long have you been the director?
4 years. We do presentations in the school. Belmont just called this week to see if I would provide education for their high school students this fall. I've been there the last 3 years. In the South Adams, AC has reached out to see what we could provide for their school. So we are in all the schools too providing education. I meet with the Amish abuse team. I speak at the Amish AA meetings.
So you're providing services for people, but you are also going to schools and doing some education with the schools and stuff and all of them in the community and.
In counseling of sorts at the school.
Right. And that's all of the services part of it. We talk about education, like what kind, just
In the
abuse type.
schools, it's primarily teen dating violence, just because that's.
So you're educating them on how to recognize controlling
warning
individuals and things like that.
And we have like information that we give to teachers, how to help students who are experiencing teen dating violence, because your obvious answer is just like break up with them, but when you're 16, 17, that doesn't really work.
It depends on how strong your family unit is, I'm sure.
You have to remember, this is not taxpayer money.
Well,
It's taxpayer
yes, it
money.
This
is.
is ARPA funds.
Well,
This is taxpayer
Where do
money.
you think that comes from?
Anything that comes from the government's taxpayer money.
This is not local tax money.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. All of our tax dollars go into every bit of tax money that go
I
federal,
definitely
state.
pay
local.
income tax. I don't know about you, but
I mean,
Before you make a
That's not really the
decision,
issue.
though, there are a couple of things in your discussion that I just wanted to highlight. The council is not without precedent for giving ARPA funds to a private organization. Money was given to the Council on Aging, and the Council on Aging is a 501c3. The justification for that was because they were doing a transportation service that would serve the entire county. Similarly, the request for the halfway house is tied into the criminal justice system, as this one is. This one with victims, the halfway house with offenders going through rehabilitation. But as you heard, the statistics are far higher for the number of people that would be serviced in Adams County on an annual basis.
I feel like
100 some versus, I think, the halfway house was statistically probably about a dozen or so.
Right.
The cost is exponentially higher for the one that you declined. It made a lot of sense. They came in with, I think, $1.2 million to begin with. But I think the biggest distinction here is this is an established organization. The other one, the halfway house, was asking for land and for financing, for all of the staffing, for construction, for everything.
Chairs,
Chairs.
Kleenex
This
boxes.
is an established organization that provides services to a very broad spectrum of the county at large.
Yeah, I understand all that, and I like the fact that you go into schools and try to educate as well. I think, so really you're serving more than the 100 and some that you serve, so I mean, I understand that.
Yeah,
And
the
the
107
24 hour-
people that walk through our building or that we meet on their lunch break, so it's private, they're never seen with us, their abuser can't track them on their phone, because that's the big, everybody knows where everybody is now. So the 100 that we serve, people that we meet with weekly,
So if we gave you $128,000, that serves your needs and gets done what you need to do.
absolutely.
I mean, when I had all these people calling me, what I kept telling them was, look, everybody out in DC spends like drunken sailors, and we're all annoyed with it. But they all say they want to cut unless it's a program they really like. and it just, that's what keeps happening. And so next thing you know, every single one of these programs is amazing, then you put them all together and it just gets really expensive.
Right.
And I just don't know that it's our role. And that's the problem. They're all great. I mean, I think about the Hope Clinic. I think about the Boy Scouts. I think about any of these churches, which I realize there's an issue there. But I mean, there's just so many good programs out there that I just don't think that's our role. That's my problem.
Based on the information I'm hearing here, I definitely would support your project.
I've been for it since before you even sat down to talk, because I've seen some of the women that have been abused. We know some children. It's
Again,
it's different than the drug thing.
Again, getting to Corey's point though, there are other organizations out there that are doing the same thing, and that's.
I know
again,
that. I know.
There's a level, where do you draw the line? And it's just very difficult.
Well, first, they didn't make a plea. All these other.
I understand that, but all I'm getting at is that.
I understand your struggle, Fred, because I have the same struggle that you
I mean,
guys
it's
do.
too, I love the cause, again, they have a track record and a history, and so we know that they've been around for a long time. And
Well, I think we've aired personal opinions about this matter. Call for a motion to either approve or disapprove.
I'll make a motion to approve as submitted.
Second,
John and Bob.
John and Rex.
Bob had his hand up.
I can't hear a hand.
Yeah. Okay, have a motion and a second before us to approve the request as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
What's that total amount? 127?
Give me just a second, I'll tell ya.
127,870.
Will you be?
127,870.
Yeah, Ian has to pick back up. Oh, wait.
I don't do what I talked about.
27.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
I'll be here.
Okay, so I think the last one then is the sheriff's, the 473 on that one.
It's a yearly.
Just take it out of this year, yeah.
So annual payment on the medical contract.
Not really
Well, it's not-
fixed,
it's not really
it's just getting more money in our county general, like for 1
Right,
year,
for
we don't
one-
spend it.
Yeah, that's
Gives us a 473 boost, basically.
It lowers the overall
So what
budget.
question is, so it's like, what does that do with the state?
But if
It's
they
just in general,
approve,
so
if they approve
it's extra
paying
room
the
for
medical
whatever.
contract out of ARPA,
Really.
it still has to go to commissioners.
Yeah, I was thinking that's just a yearly line item anyhow.
Mhm.
Because if we're looking, stick with projects, that's, the next year we're gonna have the same.
Oh, yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
back, it'll be back, but at least it basically puts it in your piggy bank for, I mean, you now have that money instead of spending it.
Clever way of trying to save it.
Yeah. It's like a transfer.
I think that's something which because I'm thinking of like.
So are we all good with budgets?
Just about, we're just doing that sheriff's one, that's it.
We're discussing the medical contract.
Okay.
And how much is the medical contract?
I think it's 473.
So if you approve the
That's
Geneva.
pretty much gonna drain it,
You'll have
because
16
I'm
left.
calculating 584 and 77
Yep, so you have 16 left, I
would
think.
be left after
If
what
IT
you
is
just
How much would
approved.
have to be left?
If you approve IT.
$584.77 would be what's left after what you just approved and what you discussed. Obviously, the commissioners have to sign off on several of the things that you preliminarily approved, but if they
Right.
approve of everything you've approved, that's what we're down to.
Honestly, for right now, I would like to leave the medical contract. We'd be around. just
Keep
under
it in the
600.
budget, you mean?
Yeah, it would be just under 600,000 left, right?
Mm,
584.
584.
They're talking about
Yeah.
medical contract.
What?
Yeah, if you don't do it, you're, 584 was his 94.
Vicky got it. We got it.
Take it down to 4 something. That's what I'm saying, if that gets approved,
Seen his bar.
your 95 for the, not your, but you know what I mean? If the Geneva IT gets approved and this, you would have enough for both of those. Well, that too, but the contract too, yeah.
The thing I'm thinking of, for me personally, is, so we have,
We had until the end of 26.
let's say the Geneva IT stuff goes, let's say it's 100. So that would take us down to like under 500.
You have your hand
We
up.
still know the full story with our own freaking IT.
So if we just took like half of it, I mean, we could pay half a year. Keep us save 200 and some thousand.
I would rather just use it, you're all in.
And I'm telling you, if you got 400,000 sitting there, you've seen what's gonna happen. These sprinklers are just gonna keep piling in.
To see what was eligible.
I understand that.
I think we need to close this chapter. Yeah.
In my mind, I just have a hard, I know putting it back in the general fund for a year, saving it is fine. I just have a hard time. But that just seems like a big hit that's gonna show up on the budget again next year. You know what I mean? After you throw the trigger. That's reoccurring. In my mind, I want, the ARPA's, I want to use one-time things, reoccurring things. I think need to stay in the budget, so it stays.
Is there anything else in there? I mean, there's a bunch of the CUME funds that would be more in line with that.
Actually, let's, because you know what, we'll have our meeting on Friday morning anyway. I'm gonna get a hold of Mike and talk to Mike. See, we have to somehow put that to where we're not doing all these special projects to get at.
Yeah.
We're IT, yes. And right now, we still have no clue.
No what?
You know, Bob makes a good point.
Just about the
I'll get to your point in a minute.
IT spend on as far as the special projects that are constantly coming up with it.
Yeah.
But
You got a bunch of money.
this is all
in
stuff that
CUME
has
caps,
started though, that we, you know, if you don't finish it, then you just wasted every dime you spent before. We gotta finish. So my point is, we need to work with Mike to get some type of plan to wrap this up. And that's why I think I would like to leave the rest of it right now, personally.
And it gets bigger money pit every year.
To Bob's,
So that's my, right now, I would say to leave the medical contract, in my opinion, leave it alone.
to Bob's point, the health insurance, the other things that we're reducing, it does lower the overall budget, that's for sure. But the same with this medical contract, and so yes, it will lower this 24 budget.
We understand.
Going into budgets next time,
We understand all that.
you understand that if
It'll be
you,
back next year and
Yeah, you're just saving the money for a year, basically.
we.
Alternatively, you've got a handful there that are CUME funds that are one-time projects, a UPS purchase, GIS, stuff like that.
I need to get off on this tangent.
What's the 100,000 exam of records in commissioners? Is that a one-time thing?
That's the,
She talked about that earlier.
that's.
Oh, that's the one you said is
Yeah.
hard. Yeah, okay, sorry.
What's the batch you say?
I don't know what they're.
Yeah, I would assume leave the contract in his budget and let this be
I think
towards something tangible.
the CUME fund things you're talking about, I agree with. However, I feel like some of that was already approved through ARPA.
Some, but not these ones.
I
What's the
want to
GIS?
find out what that is before we,
GIS would be
We
something
can
with
talk about
Ethan.
more this month and decide.
and
I'd
I
like
would say,
to-
we go with the budget as it is, and if we have to, if it ends up changing with not
GIS would
spending
be
something
Ethan
or
Snyder.
additionals or something, I think that's the way to go. Just, because right now, we'd be shooting from the hip completely.
Mhm.
And so and me personally, I would just rather get the information on that and then we can decide.
Need consensus on that then?
So
Is there, I haven't heard a motion, so we don't have to vote anything if you just decide to table it.
So right now, that we've tabled Geneva IT. Everything else, we've made a decision on, I think.
Medical contract, you're tabling.
I mean, well, I guess, yeah.
That's the
medical
only
deal,
outstanding thing, I think, isn't it?
Not really tabling it, I think we're not gonna mess with it, in my opinion, but that's.
I would like to find a way to use the rest of that ARPA money on things that would have been in our budget. I don't really care what they are.
There goes
I mean, I really don't care what they are.
I agree, and I think we'll find something soon.
You
honestly.
may have your wish.
You have until,
We got a month.
A month, I think.
Well, I don't know that we're gonna find it in a month, but
Well, but I think in that month, I think it's a good opportunity to get with Mike and see where we're at and get kind of a final picture where we're at on all this IT stuff. It may end up getting used up there.
Yeah, possibly. But Bree needs to know stuff for the budget today, right?
Please.
So I'd say as far as the budget goes, you know, if we end up doing something different, it's just gonna change the budget a little bit, but there's an additional income, right? But as far as her being able to do the budget, I think we go with,
She has to have time to put the numbers in, you know, hopefully prior to the October meeting or, because anything that changes, she's gonna have to do and.
how's everybody feel about that, the rest of that?
I would agree.
And I think we've done honestly, I think we've done an outstanding job with the budget. With
Yeah.
inflation the way it is,
Yeah, I agree.
to only have an adopted budget 1.5% over last year's adopted budget, I think it could be even
Better
better.
than that, I think it's gonna be, if I'm not mistaken, with the changes that we made today, I think it's gonna be less than 1%.
Yeah, and I think the county department heads should be commended. They've come in with great budgets, great numbers, and I thank them all very much for all the hard work they put in on it.
Yeah.
And that increase includes pay increases.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think everybody countywide has done a great job. I'm very satisfied with the budget we've put together.
Yes.
So I would say everybody agrees, Bree can go ahead and,
So the only things I have, just to double check, is the bituminous
Mhm.
going to 50. I'm gonna check with Burry on the health insurance amount, and then the commissioner's equipment is going to 30.
correct.
Yes.
And now just to recap the ARPA then,
One more thing is, so the budget that I sent out to you guys last week, there's, if I went through it correctly a little bit ago, there's two funds that what is in the adopted column is higher than the published. So like 1217, the elected training, budget where Tommy came in and asked, said that he would pay more out of it in
Not gonna
2024. So we lessened some of the travel in county general, and I moved it. I gotta lower that back down to what was published, and it'll be additional to me. So those two,
It's
so
not big
it's gonna
amounts.
come down a little bit to fix that, but then come January, they'll just have to do, we'll do an additional.
Not too big a deal.
That's fine.
just
But we
remind
wanted
us that we
to-
talked about this.
We wanted to bring it up just so you're aware of it.
Yeah, just so, and I'll redo the budget and send it again, and I'll highlight these changes in a different color so you can see what was changed from.
That's just the
If you see
the
anything.
3,500, 3,000, 4,000, 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like 16.1, is that the total budget?
Yeah.
Whenever you find out
Yeah.
from Mark, then you'll let us know.
Yes, I will either ask
Hopefully I can
him
find that out in the
today
next
while he's here, or I'll send him an email.
Can I go now?
We're good.
It's tabled.
I'm good.
So, and then just to recap on ARPA, up to 50 for the library, Adams Wells Crisis Center, South Adams, Parks and Rec, Surveyor
That's it.
are all approved.
Clerk.
Geneva,
The clerk for
Clerk for
oh, the
5,000.
clerk, sorry, these things aren't typed in on a straight line. And the clerk, and Geneva is tabled for now.
And each of those separately will have some for commissioners, but hasn't already.
Yes.
so.
Okay.
That might even be next week at this point.
Pardon me? Are you
Well,
talking?
No, you're ready to move on to Surveyor.
Yeah, if we've completed our discussion on that, Mike, you want to come up?
Hey, thanks, everybody, but, I mean, I thought there was a lot of good discussion here today.
Yeah.
honestly.
Ready?
Yep.
You're the man.
I wasn't sure where.
They said, I don't.
So, I'm coming today to talk about the investment returns, the interest that the treasurer is getting. The present drainage board's maintenance funds money, the interest is going back into the general fund. I would request that that goes back into the general drain improvement fund so we can use it back on projects that it was raised on.
What kind of money are we talking?
That I don't know. I think it's a couple $100,000. We're holding The maintenance funds are almost $2 million, and the general drain improvement fund right now has $400,000. It's almost 2.5 million. And whatever the interest is on that one, sorry, I don't have it.
So how are those funds funded?
So the maintenance funds come from the drainage systems. That are paid for by the landowners. Majority of them are $1, $1.50, $2 an acre. They're paying into the maintenance funds. We're restricted that funds that are raised in each system, each drainage system, and there's 250 here, have to be spent in the system they were raised on. So we can't jump them around. The general drain improvement fund was started when the maintenance system went into effect, and we can use that fund for any system, is how it's worked. So I know Paul Noor had, this was one of his, but actually it's the first thing that he said when we met when I was elected, that he would love to see them funds come back on, and it would go back into then what the purpose they were raised on.
So at some point, they were, it hasn't always been like this?
I think as long as, yeah, I don't think we've ever gotten back into the funds they were raised on, as far as I know.
So it'd be a couple $100,000 a year is what you're getting.
I believe that's what we were discussing. I don't know what it is.
It seems that depends on the interest rate.
Yeah.
It depends on the maintenance fund, those ditch assessments you pay on your property taxes. Those at best just do minor maintenance if you have one or two broken down tile.
That's what,
If you got to replace a whole system, which there's several in the county, that the clay tiles are collapsed, mushroomed. If you got to replace the whole system, then it's a special assessment for all the farmers. There's not near enough money in those individual ditch systems to replace an entire system or a section of a county located tile if need be. Then it becomes a one-time hit on everybody who drains into it.
Or Julie Marie or Bree, can that interest be put back? Doesn't the interest have to go to the general fund?
Not this one.
Not
This is
this
one
one.
of those funds,
I think
but it has to be
originally
put
that they did have
through a council resolution.
Years
in
ago,
order
they had
to
it
do
going
that.
into the funds.
I don't know.
Years ago, and then the council made a decision to go ahead and disallow that.
Yeah, it's in the IC code that the funds can go back into the general drain improvement fund or into their individual systems.
How much is
And
actually
Bree has
interest?
checked, the state board of accounts is also good on that. So it can be done. The way I understand it, it'd be another resolution by the council. Bree would appreciate one resolution that covers all the interest.
She has one right now.
I have one
we
right
can next
now
month.
that puts both of them back in both funds, but perhaps it might be better to combine them and have another fund where the interest goes. So I'll work with you and Bree to get the wording correct on the resolution. If you just agree or disagree with regards to the request, I'll prepare the paperwork for the next meeting.
Yeah,
I've got no problem with it.
I don't either, but is this just in principle, or do you have a couple big projects you think you?
We have,
Tackle.
well, there are a number of big projects I'd like to do. I would like to start using the general drain improvement fund as a loan to the individual systems. That hasn't been done that way. Right now, it's been used as a fallback when one goes to the red, to borrow out of that. I would like to borrow for projects in the fund, because we have a lot of big projects that should be done. Right now, Mark's ditch, the open drain is laying on my desk yet. That's $480,000. 3 years goes by. So I didn't bring my in fund the mortgage. There might be 40,000 in that fund, 50,000. I don't know.
Does this come in monthly or quarterly, yearly?
The interest,
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
I'm paying interest monthly.
Monthly.
All right, I'd go ahead and make a motion for the interest from the drainage funds to go into the appropriate maintenance fund they were raised from. Is that right?
No, we'd rather that it goes into the general drain improvement fund. That way, otherwise, monthly, we'll have to divide that out into
Oh, okay.
250
Oh, yeah.
systems.
Yeah, so, okay,
If it goes into the general drain improvement fund, it can be lumped in there and then we can use it anywhere.
okay, so I'll make a motion with the interest for the drainage funds, drainage funds go into the general improvement.
General drain improvement.
General drainage funds.
I'll second that.
You catching all this?
No, because I'm dealing on the rest.
If these two.
Favor.
We have a motion by Fred and a second by Kathy.
Who seconded it? Kathy?
And the motion was to approve it?
For it to go,
Or,
yes, for the drainage, the interest from the drainage funds to go into the general drain improvement fund.
General drain improvement.
and then Julie Marie will have a resolution next month that addresses all the funds that do the same thing. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Dan, I was trying.
How much was that?
It's not an amount on his transfer. I'm not sure why I want to discuss the transfer.
I don't have an agenda.
That's the jail, yes.
Last on the list.
Maybe
Sheriff Dan?
anybody have a question? We have you on here that did you need to address the transfer? Is there a problem, unless they
No,
have?
it's just, it's housing fund, so normally I have to get permission to.
Well, normally they don't really usually have a problem with the transfer.
It's all transfers, there's no new money.
Okay, so that's all that was, okay.
I'll motion to approve.
You may be seated.
If you want to go ahead and, if you want to go ahead and make the motion, it's up to all the transfers. Corey and Fred? We'll still have my additionals and other stuff though. And actually, he's not here, but we still have to bring up the additionals. I was going to do it now.
All those in favor of the transfer of funds in Sheriff's Department? All those opposed?
Actually, we're doing all the transfers.
All the transfers, actually.
On the additional appropriations, obviously, the ARPA speaks for itself. You just have to appropriate it. It's not extra money. Brad and Paul are here for the highway, and tell me if I'm wrong. But what I had told council, the reason for this additional is you had, for the last 2 or 3 years, you've had a smaller amount in there knowing that you were going to need computer stuff, and that came in a lot higher than what you had thought it would. So that's the reason for this. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's fine.
Do you guys have questions on the highway additional?
Just need 2 pieces of computer and Mike gets involved and says you gotta do that one new room, you need a UPS and all that stuff.
They're having a site.
Well,
I have no question.
Rob's with.
It's just the same. It's the
No,
one
I'm good.
gets involved in a $10,000 project becomes.
You want the amount to be reflected.
Well, all of these
Sand
have to be approved this year. And right now, we're talking the highway. ARPA is easy because that's, you have to appropriate it. So anyway, you've got 41,000 additional for highway. And the other additional that we had was only $2,000 from Superior Court. And that is one where we had asked Superior Court to be here to address that additional today, but I don't see anyone here. We had asked them if they could transfer out of another line. And Marie, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were told to leave it as an additional because the judge has plans for that other fund at some point this year.
Yeah.
So that's for $2,000 extra for travel. I'm giving as good an explanation as I can because they're not here to, I don't know. I'm not sure what he didn't say what he had planned for that, so. But that was, I think that line had 13,000 in it. So I don't know. But if you have questions on the highway portion of it, these guys are here. But I think I stated it correctly.
On the highway part, I think there's questions, but none that you're gonna be able to answer for me. I don't think so.
Need a motion anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah. Also, it's them to approve them, or they can do them individually, they can do them all at once.
Yeah.
That's up to them. You want to do the additionals individually? Or you want to do them all as one, or how do you want to do that?
Might as well do them all as one.
I'll make a motion, we approve the 2 additionals.
Second.
Actually, it's 3 additionals.
Bob and Rick's.
Well, the ARPA is an additional, but it's just to appropriate it. It's not extra money.
That's why it's already in there. This is
Yeah.
just spending.
Okay.
You have to, council has to appropriate that money to be paid for the, and there'll be more of those coming with the other approvals that you're going to be having.
Yeah, I'll second. Was there a second?
Rex.
Rex second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the additionals as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And Corey, did I answer your question on,
Yeah, since these
On
are coming
the-
out of county general, we already know the balances
Yeah.
on those.
and the only other thing, we might as well get done while we're sitting here, is we have the amended salary ordinance, one for jail, one for sheriff, one for highway. And if you have any questions on those, Dan's here, Shannon's here, I'm here, and Bree's
Make a
here,
motion to approve.
and highway's here.
Second.
John and Corey,
Corey, yeah.
that's a salary ordinance. Then I am all good. I'll start passing these around. Don't you leave without signing all these later.
Okay.
Okay?
Have a motion and a second to approve the salary ordinances as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That's all from me,
Amen.
I think.
County attorney?
Just a couple of things here. The interlocal agreement for land acquisition and long-term lease of the Merit Center space, that has already been signed and approved by the commissioners as well as the city. So it just needs to be ratified by the council. So we ask you to consider that. And if so, Dennis can sign it and it can be all official.
You all had approved last month the resolution for the ARPA funds for that, but you did not approve specifically this interlocal agreement that the commissioners already have. So you all need to vote on it now so that Dennis can sign it and everybody will have signed.
It's about,
That's for the,
it's the purchase price and then that's 20 or 25-year lease
Yes,
agreement.
that's
That
correct.
was for nothing or $1 or whatever the phone was.
200,000.
It's $200,000. It's the contribution to, they'll give us the land. It's the contribution towards getting the HVAC system in the Merit Center. And basically, there is no rent. All we have to do is manage the property or the Council on Aging.
We have to vote on the ordinance.
You simply vote
not an
to
ordinance.
ratify the interlocal agreement that has previously been approved by both the city as well as the commissioners.
I'll make a motion to ratify the interlocal agreement.
Second. Rex. John.
John and Rex.
All those in favor of the interlocal agreement as presented?
Aye.
Opposed?
Now I have proposed resolution 2023-24. This would be the ARPA resolution that formally allows payments in the amount of $226,000 to the clerk's office for the purpose of obtaining new voting equipment for elections here in Adams County. You previously discussed and approved that amount.
And then that, commissioners need to approve that still, or did they?
No, that one has
Or is
been
that the one they
approved.
sent?
That's the one that they approved. It's the $500,000 that we discussed today.
Did you guys approve the 226 or did you just send it to them for?
It was initially higher. It was 230 initially, and she got some quotes, went to you, and then it came back here.
I'll make a motion to approve the 226.
Second.
Have a motion to approve resolution 2023-24 as presented. All those in favor?
Double check
Opposed?
that in the minutes, because there's so many different things. I just want to make sure that they actually have approved that.
Okay.
I don't think they have. I think they just sent it to council to see if they wanted to pay for it out of ARPA or out of the budget. The 500 is a whole totally different thing. This is the 226 that I don't think they've approved yet. I think they were okay with it.
They just wanted council to decide.
See, that's what I gotta, that's what I have to check.
That's what I thought.
That's what I gotta check. You might be right. I don't know.
These figures that Tony gave us, I thought.
Put
It didn't add
before
up
you
to what
proposed
it said.
resolution number 2023-25. That would be
$300 budgeted.
for the additionals on the WebEx project in the amount
$400 budget for 22.
of,
I'll borrow this pen if I may.
What are the-
$90,260.
That dollar figure.
And that was previously discussed and approved by you, I believe, at the last meeting. And it had been previously approved by the commissioners.
What did I say, 2,000?
25, that's the
Yeah,
WebEx.
that's what I have.
You got 2,000? What the?
Yeah, his request actually came through.
Did you send through another one then?
Yeah.
Oh,
So just need a formal vote to approve.
that's the only one I got.
Okay, need a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-25 as presented. And your signatures along the way.
And all of those at the end, you'll probably have to sign on.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anything else?
I had nothing further. Thank you. Thank you.
Tony and I were talking as we entered into the IT discussion that maybe because they use county employees as resource persons, we ought to maybe assess an hourly rate for consulting fees by way of IT. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about that
Thank you.
for 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thanks.
but we're not, we keep
Formally-
talking about it, and we never do it.
Yeah, formally adopted, but, and I was thinking $100 an hour. And I don't know that that's unfair, but maybe that's,
Well, I don't know if we can have the. come up
I
with
don't
a
think we
goal
have
right
to
now,
agree on the amount, but
But. Yeah, if that's what it takes us formally adopting something, then we should do that. But we should probably consult with IT and commissioners about what that looks like and then come up with something formal.
yeah, yeah.
I definitely think right now they're getting, county IT services for nothing, pretty much.
Yeah. Just a thought.
I agree.
Any other matters to be brought before us at this time? We've done the additional.
Yep, we've done all my stuff.
Without further discussion or presentations, call for.
Hold on. Say it, say it.
A couple of things, I don't know if Shannon wants to present, we've got a severance package that we would like to get approved, and present. As we're beginning to relocate some of the residents at Golden Meadows in anticipation of closing that facility, we do see the need to keep employees there as long as we have residents there. So in order to incentivize that, we have put together a severance package, which you've approved in total, but we have detailed out. I don't know, Shannon, if you would like to present that or you want me to present that.
It's up to you.
Let me,
And this is what we put in the budget for 24
It's in the budget, yeah. So we cut down.
for the staff out there. We've already talked about
We
this a
talked
little
about
bit.
it here.
This is just formalizing those figures so I can get them to those staff and say, hey, this is what we're able to offer you. I just want you guys to approve it today officially before you approve next month, so I can get it to them and they can make a decision for their future.
This is the proposal. I don't know if you want me to make copies for everybody.
I'll just share it.
But you want me to make copies for everybody?
Do you want copies?
Yeah, that way everybody can look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just for council members. So we've got, what we did, Shannon put a package together and the commissioners have also worked to put this package together. And it's based on a base rate plus years of service. So, and the dollar amounts you'll see when she passes them out. But, so we have some employees with a lot of longevity there. So their severance package would be a little bit higher. And then we have also included a severance package for Brenda Johns, who is the interim administrator for there, because we wanted her to stay until the end because we didn't want to have to 6 months from now go through another interview process. So we've also included a bonus for Shannon because she stepped in outside of her HR duties. She stepped in and accepted administrative duties as liaison from Golden Meadows to us and from us to Golden Meadows. So we felt like that was outside of her work scope that she is typically doing as human resources. So we did include a bonus, an administrative bonus in there for her also.
Pass it around.
Thank you.
So yeah, we've had a chance to look at these. I apologize for not getting these sooner. Well, we'd like to, part of the reason we want to kind of expedite this is because the employees that are there know that at some point the facility is closing. And so they're kind of up in the air as far as what their futures look like. So we would like to get this approved and we'll bring it before our board here once we have our meeting. And then we can present it to the employees so that they know what their future is. So,
One more for John. One for the record.
so if you've got, but like I say, that's what the retention bonuses are based on is a base retention for everybody and then the years of service additional. But I believe as far as Golden Meadows budget, that was placed in the Golden Meadows budget when Shannon discussed that with you, as far as the total amount. So.
One question, just a thought, on that number one. I wonder if we don't say they're actively employed through and until the final day of operation or the position is no longer needed. Right? Because for example, you're not going to need all 20 people when there's only 4 residents left. And if we want to terminate that position, I would think would still want to get the bonus, right?
Just in number 2, it says unless released prior thereto. So we have that right to release someone if we need to.
But that, what we wanted to avoid is ending up with residents in need of care and then not having employees there to take care of them, so. And not having to hire additional employees.
I do have, I mean, no offense, Shannon, but I mean, was there a lot of overtime? You get paid overtime, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get paid overtime, but for 4 months after we released the previous administrator, I was the acting administrator for that facility. And I took on duties and responsibilities that were way outside of the scope of my normal
And that's why, when we proposed that, we proposed for that specific reason, because it was outside of her scope of duties. So it wasn't a matter of overtime, that was a matter of, hey, we hired you to be our HR director, but now, because when our other director left, and then when we restructured and put the nurse manager and the administrative, or the business manager in administrative positions, and they both quit in the same day, all of a sudden we were left with no administration at that facility whatsoever. So the first call that I made was to Shannon to ask her to be our liaison and act in an administrative function out there. The second call I made was to the hospital to ask them for help in evaluating the facility. So from that time, when I made that call, until we had Brenda Johns in there as our interim administrator, Shannon was acting as an interim administrator. So that's why we did that.
So that,
It wasn't a matter.
that was all during normal business hours though?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I worked overtime for sure, but there was just.
Got paid for it.
I got paid for it, but there was responsibilities that are completely outside of my normal scope. I mean, of things that I had to do in order to maintain the status quo basically at that facility.
Yeah.
And I want to emphasize that was not, this was not Shannon's decision, that was our decision. She did not ask for this.
Well, it shows that the bonuses will be paid to the people that will be leaving and not having a job, except for Shannon's.
Correct.
But
Because she's no longer needed, since we have Brenda Johns out there, she's no longer needed as our administrative.
So just to make sure on that first question, your guys' understanding though, from 1 and 2, you're saying read together, is if the position is no longer needed, they would still get the bonus, right? That's the intention.
Yeah, but if they leave of their own accord, let's say, if they are offered a job somewhere else and they say, well, wait a minute, in 6 months, I'll get a retention bonus.
Right.
Their new employer may buy out that retention bonus for them. And so that's something that potentially.
We've got 88,000 budget next year.
I think that's all.
I think this total is about what, about 70,000? About 70,000.
Yeah, I didn't look at the budget. Since Shannon came in and talked to you guys about Golden Meadows budget, I just looked at that.
Shannon said that amount I was 60.
About 60,
Yeah. So.
I think it's fair and reasonable.
Yeah, I guess, pardon me, Shannon, but I don't think that $5,000 is warranted.
Like
I think we've all had jobs that we
That was
had to
not
do extra
Shannon's
work
decision.
over and above, and you get paid overtime for that. Like, we've all been in that situation. And like I said, everybody else is being paid for retention, not as
So they stay.
but thanks for, going over and above.
But that retention is the same concept for Shannon. She's not here today with her Golden Meadows, she doesn't get her. We need her to stay as well.
But I want to emphasize that when we discussed that, she was not even in the room. That was our decision.
Yeah, I understand. It's a odd situation.
Well, it was a tough situation, and so that's why I say, when I found out that we had no administration out there, those were the 2 phone calls I made. First to Shannon,
I did, Don.
second to the hospital. So. And to this day, the hospital has refused any compensation for all.
They get money.
We'll get to that.
Hmm?
Any further discussion?
And it's not like you absolutely have to act on it today, but we will probably act on it in our. And for the sake of the employees, that's kind of why we'd like to expedite it, so they're not hanging in midair wondering what's gonna happen. So that way they can make decisions as they look at their job situation.
So what's the consensus?
have a problem with it.
Want to table it for further discussion?
Not for the people that are gonna leave, I mean, I think they need to know. I wouldn't.
Yeah, I guess I would like,
Have a job.
if you could act on it today, that'd be
I think we
great.
should.
That would be a benefit for employees. But, I mean, obviously, that's your decision.
Just come up with a grand total for the whole picture.
I'm sorry, what?
Did you have a total for the whole picture?
I think it's on there.
It's in the current budget right now, so the budget that we are approving has all this in it.
Like commissioners approve that, but then council has to approve the funding.
I think we did in the budget, didn't we?
It's in the budget, and within the
Yeah,
guidelines.
but you don't vote at budget hearings, so you have to vote on it now. Up, down, change, whatever you decide. I mean, you don't have to vote on it now, you can table it, but Stan's point, we'd like to let them know sooner rather than later, I guess.
Just come up with about 67.6. Yeah.
Unless there's anything else, Steve, that you,
Make this motion. I'm agreeing with
I think
everything.
we ought to act on it, don't you?
Yeah, I don't
I
wanna.
mean, I don't think we ought to hold them off another month.
What's that?
I think we ought to act on it today.
Yeah, they have to, they gotta know what they have in store.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and accept the proposal.
A second. Have a motion and a second to approve the retention bonus for each employee as described here. John?
Well, was there something in the question one or point one that you
I
wanted?
mean, if I was writing this, I probably would have put that same unless under one as I would have put under two, but
Oh, they said it's already.
there, I mean,
applied.
as long as that's what everyone's agreeing, that's what they mean by that.
All those in favor? Opposed? Kathy opposed.
nobody opposed. Go Corey.
No, not me. I'm just pointing. You said no, right?
I said aye.
Oh, you said aye?
Everybody
They were
say aye.
asking what you said. That's what,
Did you hear me say aye? Aye.
All right.
okay. It's all aye.
Give us a-
All ayes are on the motion.
There was some noise. I don't know what it was.
I can't
I
hear you
still
over
want to
there.
report.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask, but, you know, from what I understand, Brenda Johns is doing a good job out there as far as administrator, and, we are meeting with Dean during our meeting for an update, so we've been getting regular updates on
Goes around the side.
and locations.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, you're welcome. else. I don't know if you, Dennis, do you want anything else now, or are you? Are you-
More than enough.
I did want to recognize, with you approving the funding for the Merit Center, we've been working on that with the city for about the last 6 months or so. After we moved Council on Aging to the Merit Center, they've become more and more active in renovating the offices, renovating the library. And they're in the process, they've added a restroom in the library for the folks. They're going to add access to the courtyard and continue to improve that. But with you approving that, I think it just speaks very well of the cooperation between the county and the city in developing the facility and then going public transportation in January. So I think it's just an excellent example of city working with county.
Stuff's over there.
Anyway, thank you for that.
I think the commissioner should be commended for the fair and equitable
Yeah.
salary retention bonuses that you've come up with. You did a good job. You don't need that.
Is that it?
Okay,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
no further discussion, entertain a motion to adjourn. John and Bob,
I saw that one that time.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Had Bob a second.